Welcome back to Better Advertising with Better Media. Today I'm joined by another Better Media employee, one of the OGs in the space, been here for quite some time, built a LinkedIn presence for yourself. You've hopped on a lot of podcasts, a lot of webinars at this point. The next big one we're going to throw you into is definitely a stage engagement. But Adam, can you give us a quick intro on just who you are in this space and why it matters?
Yeah. Hey, guys. Great to be here again. I'm Adam Malott, Head of Service Delivery / Training and Education at Better Media. Retail media strategist, now shifted predominantly to educating and making sure our team is keeping up with the newest industry updates, et cetera, et cetera.
Which sounds easy in theory, but it's really not. I mean, I wake up every single day and there's a new rollout, new update, and now you're having to manage all of that. And we've had a pretty successful track record taking college students and getting them ramped up to speed. So I would say you're doing an amazing job at that role.
Well, I appreciate it. It's definitely fluid, right? What I'm doing this year, or even this month, is completely different than what I was doing 6 months ago. Adapt with the speed of the industry, I suppose, which to your point is a challenge. But any way you can get it done, you got to get it done.
One of the things that I love about your mentality when it comes to our training and education is that it is fluid and that you never stop learning. And I think a good example of that was your attendance at Prosper Show earlier last month. Now it's April 1st. Wow. Last month you attended Prosper Show and you participated in the AI hackathon. And I think AI is a really fun space to be in right now because you have people like Dustin on our team diving into MCP server and connecting it with the Amazon Ads API and the SPA API and building our technology. And then we have Adam, who is viewing it from a lens of communication, relationship, education, and really looking at how we can utilize AI to fuel a relationship building strategy. Adam, can you give us just a quick high level of what the AI hackathon was first, and then maybe a few of the takeaways that you had?
Yeah, of course. So the AI hackathon is something that I help with every year. Shout out my friend Brent Weiss for putting me on. It's such a blast every year. But essentially what we do is at Prosper and other various industry shows, we will go in and run an interactive contest, right? Where there will be 2 or 3 master prompts or ideas, and then table captains will orchestrate a team who will then use nothing but AI to get said prompt done. Very, very educational. And you can imagine, as somebody who is not an advanced AI user, how quickly you can learn about AI's capabilities with a 45 or an hour exercise like that.
That's incredible. And the hands-on keyboard aspect, I think, really helps escalate that because I'm guilty of this. I scroll LinkedIn and I see what everyone else is doing and I get so incredibly overwhelmed. I'm like, how? I could never do that. Right. In reality, once you dive in and just figure it out, it's quite the unlock. You're like, anyone can do this. And I think that's really powerful for, a lot of our team members. There's a very low barrier to entry when it comes to AI utilization. Now, again, if you're going to build a full-scale product, vibe coding's not enough. But for a lot of the things that we've been looking at, I think AI unlocks a few different levers that anyone on the team can immediately start pulling. What are the directions of AI that you're most excited about and that you are really making sure to integrate into our Better University?
Yeah. I want to reiterate that I am not an AI power user. And to your point, Des, the barrier to entry is very low. So I encourage anybody to just go in and start somewhere, right? Start simple prompts, start figuring out what the capabilities can be for your specific problems or the solutions that you're trying to build. What I'm most excited about regarding AI is just its advancement in efficiency over the last handful of months / year. We look at comparisons from ChatGPT now to Claude that everybody is gravitating towards. I'm in the process of making a transition, creating things like prompting docs and master import sheets so I can educate my Claude account on how I've been using ChatGPT and just the output, the efficiency, the detail. It's few and far between where we were last year at this time. Yeah. So I'm really excited for its continued capabilities.
Actually, I think that's a bigger pro tip than you might have realized. One of the recommendations I've been giving a lot of my friends who are dabbling in the same space, making the transition from chat to Claude, is that AI moves even faster than ecom. And it wasn't very long ago where ChatGPT was king. Everyone was using it. And then, Claude came about. And then you see Nano Banana improvements. And I was talking to Dustin earlier, and he was like, Google is actually one of the best from an infrastructure standpoint. And, a lot of the people that are more technical, the engineers, lean into that. It changes quick. There could be a new tool in 3 months that we decide to just completely transition to. That being said, the pro tip that you gave was building a master prompts, because your AI is only ever going to be as good as the context you give it. I think that's the part people are struggling with. So one of the things that Adam's been working on, that we're working on doing at scale, is educating people on how to build a very large prompts and projects for everything that they're trying to accomplish. So that way, it does not matter what AI tool is released and how quickly it changes. You have this source document built that can go train the prompt on how you speak, how you want your AI to talk to you. I'm very, very candid and transparent, and I like getting direct feedback, and that's how I prompt all of my AIs. And I think that's a good individual starting place. And, for the brands that are listening in, I highly recommend you do this for your employees well. You kind of need to decide, what direction do you want to take with your AI? How do you want to train your employees? Build this master prompt so that way all of your employees are rowing in the same direction. Because if one employee is going to their AI and it has a very different service level than what you would expect, it's going to affect your communication and how you write emails. But as you know, our service mentality is really based on the Ritz-Carlton and doing everything that's in the best interest of our customers. So we want to train our prompts to act in that way.
Yeah, that's a great point. I love our conversation yesterday. It was, largely centered around, hey, AI is here to enhance, not assist or not do the projects for you, right? So, the way I started was exactly what you're describing, Dust. It was just getting in and asking questions, feeding in information subconsciously almost, right? Because I didn't know what the capabilities were and how it could help me with my workflow. Things like Better Media University, which is our company brain, or is going to be our company brain. It was hours and hours and hours of feeding this thing information, asking it questions. Hey, what are you missing? What's next? Yeah. And from there, the efficiency that I've gained just in my day-to-day is incomparable, versus even 6 months ago.
Absolutely. I think the easiest starting point is almost always communication.
Yeah.
The next one potentially is planning an organization. I know we've used it to identify gaps in Better University. I recently connected Claude directly to our Notion, where you've built out a full wiki of every single training element that could possibly be needed to be an expert in an agency. And that connection in itself helped us build a better roadmap for different graduation levels, which is pretty incredible, because sometimes it can be hard to zoom out and piece everything together when you're so in the weeds. And I think AI has done a really good job of that. The third, I think that's been really powerful for us, is just acting as an analyst. Whether it's for the formal agency, I've been utilizing it as kind of the CFO, COO, and helping analyze and forecasting. But we also see it with our clients as well. Help us understand this AMC data set, right? Gibby's done exceptional things with AI and AMC queries. And the next step is where you start getting into that more agentic commerce piece, right? It's the OpenClaw. It's the part that I'm a little bit scared to touch, but that Dustin's diving into. I mean, just this morning, Dustin posted about the SP API and how we're going to be able to, utilize AI to pull in all deals, all discounts, all SP API things, connect it directly to DSP. That's something that's always been missing, is like this full funnel picture. Now, that being said, your AI, again, is only as good as the context. So when I see people spinning off all of these tools, like, look, ACOS and ROAS was never difficult. That is a math problem. Any software can hit ACOS or ROAS targets. The difficulty is then tying it back to your overall brand strategy. And I think that's the angle we're really taking as we dive into AI, is making sure we're setting the appropriate context, whether that's with relationships or with advertising. What are your thoughts on, the future of technology in that way and how it's going to influence your Amazon ads?
Yeah. I actually had a really good conversation with one of our managed brands yesterday. on this front. If I think about how I use AI in the day to day, right, and it's for things that previously I would have had to do by hand or utilize a software, et cetera. I can see AI being a disruptor specifically in search in that regard, right? Things like simple tasks, keyword research, bid optimization, campaign formulation. I think all of those things aren't necessarily going to be deprecated, but they're not going to be as much of a detriment to managing ads at scale moving forward. There is an element of human intuition that's still missing from AI. And I think that is the biggest key when it comes to general output or even how AI and Amazon ads is going to integrate here into the future.
I couldn't agree more. I am a little bit concerned because I'm expecting quite a few brands to move over to these tools or create their own tools. And they're going to say, hey, I need you to hit me a 25% ACoS. What's going to happen is they're going to hit that ACoS and then they're going to see their total sales just do a deep decline because they forgot that your Amazon advertising sales are making up a big portion of your total sales. Your BSR is going to get worse. And then you're going to see just this total tanking in organic rank. Another thing is even, looking at our time to conversion insights or ad type overlap insights, things like that we know. Sometimes people get way overhyped in, again, the algorithm optimization and forget to optimize for the human element, which at the end of the day, humans need frequency. They need to see something multiple times before they typically complete a checkout. And this is just one of those examples where I think that, yeah, it's easy in theory to build a tool to manage your ads. But if you're not giving it the right context and don't actually understand human psychology, you're still going to struggle.
100%. Yeah, thus the note about just missing intuition. I talk about our training and education with our new hires quite a bit and how they should be utilizing AI. And a lot of the questions that I get asked, we have 4 or 5 hours of training calls a week. And a lot of the questions that I'm asked are centered around like, how do I do X, Y, Z? What does this mean? And I'm like, okay, I can explain this to you, right? And I can spell it out for you. Or we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Here's how I would utilize AI to help bridge the gap between what I'm trying to do and where I want to be. So again, an enhancer more so than a doer. And if you rely on AI like in that regard, I think you can have a lot of success with it.
I completely agree. Something that we're consistently working towards at Better Media is building strategic thinkers. And I think that's one of our bigger competitive advantages. A lot of our competitor agencies have outsourced a lot of their talent. They give them strict SOPs and say, follow this SOP. Don't make your own decisions, right? Historically, that was how you built a very large scalable business, right? If you read the Intel books, all of kind of your OG successful books, it was heavily systems oriented and a lot of controls. Nowadays, things change way too quickly. And I think this is a great example where we are training our team members to make strategic decisions on their own rather than just rule followers. Because look, an agent can follow rules all day long and they're going to be replaced. And teaching people to really take in the broader picture, I think, is definitely going to continue to be our competitive advantage in the world of AI and agentic commerce.
Couldn't agree more. I think that, the fact that rule followers are going to be replaced, that's a great way to think about it. We need to make sure that, we're utilizing AI in that regard, right? Not just to complete simplistic tasks, but again, to enhance. That's sort of where my mind goes in terms of what does future state look like for Better Media University and for our training and education internally. How can I use AI to continue enhancing that product? How can I speed up efficiency here and, continue creating modules, continue creating educational hubs for our team? So I'm really excited about the future of it, but definitely, some uncertainty like you mentioned.
At this point, you just got to lean into the uncertainty and use it as a competitive advantage. I'm excited. I love it. Emery posted about our Vivid Vision today on LinkedIn, and I thought it was a great call out because I had commented and it was like in times of uncertainty. And when I wake up and there's 38 different shiny objects, it's nice to have a resource document I can pull up that grounds myself of like, hey, here's the direction we're rowing. How can I use AI to get there? Because I know multiple people who have completely left their original business to go chase crypto, to go chase what were the little art things that went viral for a while? The like trading cards, art, AI.
Oh,
Why am I
RFTs.
yeah, something like I can't even remember it, which says everything. It's not that, but it's close. I mean, the fact that we can't even remember it, but I know multiple people who spent thousands of dollars on these things. And it's just, this is why you need a playbook. This is why you need a vision of what you're wanting to accomplish. So that way, when you're caught up in all the shiny objects, you can stay true to that vision.
100%. I think that's a really good call out, right? When we're doing something as advanced as creating internal education, and it's foundational, it's subjective, it's intuitive, there's all these different angles that we need to educate the team on, right? You can imagine how hectic that can become.
Yeah.
Combine that with progress tracking for new hires. It's like, man, there's not enough hours in the week, right?
There's not. This is a personal conversation Adam and I have very frequently on finding work-life balance and mental health. And maybe sometime in the future, we'll do an episode on that because I think people need to hear that as well.
I agree. But to that point, something that I'm using AI for is just that, right?
Yeah.
My brain is moving at 1,000 miles an hour constantly, and I have all of these ideas and I'm executing on, half of them, right? And then I need organization, prioritization, et cetera. And, if I lay things out simplistically for my AI tool, and it's like, help me ground myself here, help me get back to equilibrium so I can think clearly about where we're going with this project. It's such a game changer in that regard. So the little things,
The little things. Well, I love it. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. If you're listening in, as per usual, if this provided you any value, like, comment, send Adam a DM. And thank you all so much for listening. And thank you, Adam, for joining.
Of course. Great to talk to you, Dest.